President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence are hitting the campaign trail for some key midterm races. Mr. Trump heading to Pennsylvania ahead of next week's highly contested House election. Polls show Republican Rick Saccone and Democrat Conor Lamb are nearly neck and neck. Kellyanne Conway is already there.
I was invited again in my personal capacity. I took a vacation day today. And here we are. So you can see I didn't bring my sunblock, and I'm vacationing in Allegheny County.
That was pretty good. Joining us now is David Bernstein, Run for America co-founder and progressive commentator. We also have Alex Conant, former communications director for Senator Marco Rubio and partner at Firehouse Strategies. Alex, I'll ask you first. How do you think these races shape up?
Look, the special election in Pennsylvania that Kellyanne Conway was campaigning at, that President Trump's going to next week, I think most people here in Washington at this point expect the Democrats to win. But I got to tell you, I think it's going to be a close race. I think President Trump going in at the 11th hour now, look, if Republicans turn out and vote for the Republican candidate in that race, we should win. There's way more Republicans than Democrats in that district. And Donald Trump won it by a lot just a little bit over a year ago. So while clearly the Democrats got off to a quick start in their race, I think Republicans are finishing strong.
David, our own Molly Line was out in Pennsylvania talking to steel workers who want to see the industry come back. Do you think that the move that the president made on tariffs helps with this local race in Pennsylvania?
Well, it hopefully should, because as Alex pointed out, this race is not a race that Republicans should be worried about, and yet they've now been spending millions and millions of dollars, and it looks like they're probably going to lose. So if anything is going to help, it's going to be actually ideas and policies that might speak to people, not just throwing more and more cash in.
Alex, you want to respond to that?
Well, look, while the Republicans are spending a lot on this race, so are Democrats. And a lot of the liberal special interest groups here in Washington, D.C., including all of Nancy Pelosi's groups, are spending a ton of money. They would love to pick up this seat. And they've done that in other special elections. So far, they have not won a single congressional special election. So this is their last best chance to do that and to try to show some momentum going into the midterms. But again, I agree. I think that there's a limit to what the ads can do. I think policy is critical, and that's why I do think Republicans could have an advantage at the end of the day, given that President Trump is going there, given his move on steel tariffs, which is very popular in that district.
Yeah. David, I heard earlier today one of the candidates saying Conor the chameleon, and it sounds like the president's campaign style of labeling someone as something, you can call it name calling or you can call it branding, but it sticks in your mind. Do you think that that's an effective strategy? Look,
it is, I think, actually one of the president's most effective campaign tactics. He is probably one of the great branding minds in the world. I'm not sure that he's great at anything else he says he's great at, but he is a great brander who manages to take and distill that simple idea down for people, and it sticks. And the Democrats honestly could learn a thing or two from that.
Alex, what do you think about that?
I think that's probably right. Look, Conor Lamb, who's a Democrat running in that district, he raised a lot of money early on, most of it from outside of the district, and he used that to define himself. And I think that's a lesson to other candidates elsewhere. Now, as the election gets closer, voters are really starting to focus on it. As President Trump is pointing out, Conor Lamb is not a great fit for that district. I mean, he's a liberal Democrat, and as a special prosecutor, he has a very checkered history in terms of cutting deals with drug dealers and child abusers. And so I think as voters learn more about that, Conor the chameleon, as you just said, is going to have some problems at the end of the day.
David, there might be a danger in extrapolating more from these local races. I mean, a lot of political pundits think it's a barometer and a way to read into what's going to happen in 2018 or larger sentiment. But to a certain extent, all politics is local, and people in that district could be just really looking at the choices in front of them rather than thinking about what it means on a national scale. What do you think?
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, look, the reason that people are spending so much money on this race is because how it can shift the narrative of people and pundits in Washington and the way that people are talking and writing about who's up and who's down. The real chances of November are still very far away, and as we've seen, actually, Republicans are inching closer to Democrats, and the idea that Democrats just have it all in the bag is far from there. As this race shows, it's going to be close.
All right, gentlemen, we'll leave it there. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.